We do have good news on this front, though. Check out this story from Fox News. Group that works to elect GOP officials at state level showcases record fundraising haul. Republicans look to strengthen their upper hand in control of state legislative chambers. I think at this point, the state is the most important function right now. And people are heavily focused on Congress and the Senate and the presidency. But there's a huge opportunity right now. I think people are seeing it.
Which group is that, Tim? Did they name it?
So this is
Alec? Yeah, you got to scroll down a little way.
This is our the Republican State Leadership Committee.
Yeah.
Okay.
Will announce Wednesday that along with its strategic policy partner, the State Government Leadership Foundation, it hauled in a combined $8.3 million in fundraising through during the July-September period, which the RSLC said is the most it's ever brought in the third quarter of an odd year. So that's massive. Yeah. They say they noted that $19 million that the $19 million it and the SGLF have brought in through the first 9 months of the year exceeds the total the two groups raised in all of 2019, which was the comparable off-election year in the 2020 cycle. This is big.
It's huge.
If the states all just start saying, look, California, Illinois, New York, Oregon, whatever, we don't care, maybe Washington, we're all in favor of these changes. The states can do it without the federal government's involvement.
Yeah. We were talking about this yesterday, especially when it comes to gun rights that have actually been expanding comparatively on the state level, not on the federal level. And when you look at the states that passed constitutional carry, that list keeps growing. It's going to keep growing, and that's an amazing thing. And as I said yesterday, I'm not hopeful at all at the federal system. The local system, I do have some optimism. But we also have to acknowledge here that the Republicans are kind of at war with each other. You have the Liz Cheney, Mitt Romney, Lindsey Graham party, and then you have the Rand Paul, Thomas Macy, and other representatives of the party that are absolutely, totally different on a spectrum that's very wide. So even if Republicans do get in, I'm still, to be honest, skeptical of them. I think people should be skeptical of politicians because there's a chance that, again, the same corporations that support the left support the right, and it could just turn out to be another situation where we're just going back in circles.
But I think there are more people now gravitating toward the Rand Paul, the Massey section. You know, look, you made a good point about guns. I'm glad you brought it up. It goes to what I said about you show them a little bit of fear, and they'll back off. The reason Obama never went after guns, he saber-rattled, and he claimed he was, because he knew he could never sell.
Yeah.
Southern and Western
Trump went
Democrats.
after guns.
Trump went after guns more than Obama ever did.
Yeah.
And his base put up with it, and that infuriated me. Yeah. That his base put up with it. They put up with the bump stock ban, which was ridiculous. Yep. One incident. Here's what I'm trying to say, though. Even Biden's people, who are politically savvy, understand that if they were to try to pass sweeping gun reform, Manchin, Sinema, and Tester could never go, unless they just wanted to be crushed in primaries by more conservative Dems and then crushed in the general by ours. They know they can't get this passed. The one issue that the Dems will always saber-rattle on, but they're terrified of, losing seats. We need to do that with every issue. We need people in these state legislatures and in Congress who put that fear into them on every issue, and we just refuse to elect them because we keep electing the. I think Liz Cheney's going to lose her primary by about 50 because South Dakota, Wyoming rather, is not happy with her. Look, you saw Kristi Noem was one of the most popular governors in the country. A couple of misstatements, she's toast.
I'd like to see 28th Amendment, and it can be really simple. It just says Second Amendment.
Yeah. Not
be infringed. We're asserting it. Actually, it could be, I'm joking, but it can be a bit more specific. All legislation related to gun ownership is hereby revoked, gone, eliminated.
Or amend the second and just put that comma that we always should have put. The right of the people to keep and bear arms, because we understand how tyrannical a government can be, and add something about it is an individual right. The right, boom, should not be infringed.
It used to actually say that, regardless of military service, you can bear arms. Yeah. But they were worried it would be argued you can avoid conscription or something like that. So they said, we'll simplify it. But now we have, we went to the gun store the other day, and I got a Calico M100S. It's a fun little crazy thing, the Boba Fett gun. And you can't have it in Maryland. So my house is in West Virginia. And I'm just like, we get all of these Democrats saying, no one's trying to take your guns away. No, just blah, blah, blah. I'm like, dude, it's a 22.
Yeah.
It's like, and they call it an assault weapon. They are taking our guns away all the time. There's a huge list of guns you can't have in all of these places. So when they say the right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed, and you literally can't own an M1A, which is not some futuristic sci-fi power weapon, then it's BS. So I'll tell you what, we can do a lot of good with the Convention of States. I'd be really happy if we just had any one of these members of Congress to at least try to repeal some of these garbage laws. Or how about this? There can be 2 laws proposed by any one of these, populist candidates right now. I'm not seeing it. Repeal the NFA and perhaps some overarching legislation protecting the rights of individuals with the power of the federal government from states who seek to oppress their right to keep and bear arms.
Listen, I think you get a populist candidate who just proposes to repeal the NFA and abolish the Department of Education, and we're on the right track.
And the ATF and the IRS.
Well, yeah,
and the Federal Reserve. You guys are getting me excited here. Like, watch out! Like, holy cow!
I wonder if someone ran on abolish the IRS, would that win? Because you got to think about.
I think they would audit their campaign to the point they cripple them.
But think about this. What the Republicans would be like, what do we do? Like, if we go after this person, we'll lose support. So they'd be too timid and scared, like the establishment Republicans. The Democrats would be running campaigns saying the IRS is good.
Yeah, they would.
And how many people who have like IRS? You ever see those commercials where it's like, in trouble with the IRS?
Yeah.
Call us today and we'll negotiate your debt. Those people are going to be like, I'll vote for him.
Yeah. That's right.
I mean, they're already doing it. Janet Yellen came out and said the IRS rule requiring banks to report all transactions over $600 is something that is worthwhile to do. She's defending that policy and saying we need to implement it.
If we had a convention of states, I'd love to just see some wacky stuff. And I don't mean like overtly wacky, just like as soon as it's called, some guy goes, Amendment 28, abolish the IRS. Here, and they all bang the gavel. Amendment 29, ATF next. You got it. Bang, bang, bang.
But that's what would put the fear of God into that. That's exactly what I'm talking about. FBI, see you later.
God.
Boom. That's what we need to do. Because what we've let's face it, there's no reason whatsoever that we should have. I think today, as we sit here, there are 144 federal law enforcement agencies. Bureau of Land Management has a law enforcement agency. Department of Education has one. Department of the Interior has one. It's ludicrous. It is absolutely ludicrous. Federal Protective Service runs around and they guard federal buildings that have other law enforcement agencies in them that have their own uniform divisions that could guard the building. The amount of waste, the amount of taxpayer money wasted on this, and look, the creation. It was the creation of an authoritarian police state, but it was also the normalization of it. Right? People are so used to seeing so many different federal agencies that carry guns and badges and can lock you up. And talk about the U.S. Code, right? Every American wakes up in the morning and does something to violate some criminal statute in either the U.S. Code, their state law, or county ordinance. Everybody, even including like toddlers who get up in the morning. It's ludicrous. And I think we need real reform in terms of repealation of bills, but you'll never see a bill repealed. I had a conversation about 6 years ago with a very conservative, put that in quotes, Florida state senator. And I asked him this. I said, look, we're a red state. We pride ourselves in being a conservative state. I think Rick Scott was governor at the time. Why don't we repeal anything? And he said, and I almost choked on my drink. He said, we're legislators. We legislate. I said, but you're supposed to be a conservative. He says, yeah, but our legislation is conservative. I wanted to bang my head on the table.
They should have sunset clauses written into them. Every bill.
Every bill. Every bill.
Recently, the government ran out of money. They were like, we don't have enough money. We got to raise the debt ceiling. How about you stop spending money you don't have? Yeah. I mean, why is that such a crazy idea? And we don't have Republicans. We don't have conservatives even arguing against that. And hold on. The Institute for Policy Studies literally came out that the average day an American commits 3 felonies.
Yeah.
So the U.S. government is an abusive significant other who is a deadbeat, doesn't work, threatens you, you come home, smacks you around and says, give me the money. You know I love you.
Yeah, they only do it because they love you, Tim.
Yeah.
The federal government loves you.
Right.
No, it's really bad. And the problem is we're now normalizing it even more, right? So with CRT and with woke culture, kids are being conditioned to believe that the FBI persecuting people who... Listen, I'll tell you guys a story, which is chilling. I've got a friend who's on one of the JTTFs, the Joint Terrorism Task Forces, which, if your viewers, listeners don't know, those are FBI-managed task forces in pretty much every major city, every major region. That includes state police, local cops, other agents from federal agencies. This is one in the Northeast, in a large area. His team alone, and there are dozens of these around the country, his team alone received in 1 month almost 200 referrals from DOJ, from FBI's Washington field office. On January 6th, suspects. 77 warrants on the bank accounts of people who weren't even in D.C. on January 6th. they didn't receive one referral on Antifa or BLM. Not one. And when they asked why, they were told stand down. Leave it alone. Now, that's one JTTF team. All right? If you don't think the FBI has been weaponized for political persecution, you're not paying attention. And this is from a guy who built his media career first on supporting, analyzing, and defending law enforcement. It's abysmal. It's chilling what's happening here. They have weaponized that agency, but that's the entire government. I keep tweeting. Distrust. Burn all every institution.
I mean, that agency has been politicized from its very beginning with J. Edgar Hoover and what he was doing against JFK, MLK. It was absolutely disturbing to see the start of this federal agency that has been continuing to be extremely political when they're not supposed to be.
And they don't really have a mission anymore, the FBI. They're like a sea of generalists in a field of specialists, right? DEA does drugs, ATF does guns. They shouldn't, but they do. HSI is doing terror and and a lot of the child porn and child trafficking. You know, like, if FBI wants to be investigators for DOJ, do public corruption, fine. Their national security branch, we thought was effective until we saw what they did in the Trump-Russia case. I think heads need to roll for that still. But it's an agency really without a specific mission. And when you're a hammer, everything looks like a nail.
Exactly. Well, this is why I've been saying abolish the police for the past several months. Right now we're at this period where, I mean, you look to Australia, nightmarish.
Oh,
you can't travel. I mean, these videos that are coming out are getting increasingly crazier. People have to take pictures of their faces, otherwise the cops show up. In the United States, you have conservative areas. They want a right to keep and bear arms. Some of these conservative areas are in blue states where they have no right. And it is the police who will come and arrest you for exercising your Second Amendment right. There's a story I often tell of a woman who lives in Pennsylvania and had a legal concealed carry and crossed the bridge to Jersey. Didn't understand.
Yeah, I spoke to that woman. I know who you're talking about.
This was a famous story, right?
Yeah,
They turned her they ended up trying to charge her.
I had her on my show. It was terrible. She had a permit in Pennsylvania,
right?
And she came into Jersey. Made a wrong turn off the highway. Wound up in Jersey, was pulled over, and they wanted to put her in federal prison.
That was a police officer who did that.
Police officer, then federal charges applied because she came across state lines. It was
so. What I say is this: look, if you're in a conservative area and you're very much pro responsibility, personal responsibility, gun rights, then you're not really worried about the police for the most part.
Shanine Allen, that was her name. Shanine Allen.
So we're out in the middle of nowhere. There's not cops nearby. You know, we don't have a large. We have a sheriff's department. We can call and maybe they'll show up eventually. It's mostly for administrative stuff. If something happens, the responsibility, the onus is on us to defend ourselves and protect our rights and the best we can. And then afterwards, as soon as whatever conflict is being resolved, you try and get the police to come and sort things out. In big cities, you don't live in a big city. Conservatives don't live there. Why are they supporting big city cops who the left are complaining about? If the left says they don't want police, then okay, then we're in agreement. We don't live there. We don't care about how you want to live. Let them live the way they want. Thanks for checking out this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. If you want to see the full show, come back to this channel, youtube.com/TimcastIRL, Monday through Friday at 8 p.m., where you can leave comments and super chat, and we actually will read your comments on the show. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and if you want exclusive members-only content, segments you can't get anywhere else, go to timcast.com, become a member, and we even have full bonus episodes. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.